In this video, we're going to discuss about combinations of continuous functions. So under sa topic na to, i-discuss natin, halimbawa meron tayong dalawang continuous function, yung addition niya, subtraction, multiplication sa scalar, or division ng two continuous functions are continuous also. And pati yung composition ng continuous functions is continuous. Then, di-discuss din natin yung continuous on a given set. Okay? So, simulan natin sa theorem na to. Let A be a subset of R, F be a function from A to R, G a function from A to R, and B element of R. Suppose C element of A, and yung F and G are continuous at C. Then number 1, yung addition ng two continuous functions, subtraction, multiplication, and if i-multiply natin yung continuous sa any real number, so lahat yung apat na yan ay continuous also at C given this assumption. And then for number 2, kung meron tayong H, a function H from A to R, and yung function na yon ay continuous at C, and let's say for any values of x, for any value of x, yung h of x is not equal to 0, then yung division f over h is continuous at C. Okay? So, i-prove lang natin tong f plus g. So, madali na lang intindihin yan, no? Yung statement na yan. So, i-prove na kagad natin yung isa lang dyan. So, let's say etong f plus g. Okay. So, for our proof, ipoprove natin dito yung f plus g ay continuous. Is continuous at C. Okay. So now, our assumption is this: f and g are continuous at C. So that means limit of f of x as x approaches C. So let limit of f of x as x approaches C is f of C kasi continuous. Yung limit niya siya equal sa value. And let also limit of g of x as x approaches C is g of C. Then, yung limit ng f plus g of x as x approaches C is equal to, by the property of limit, so na-prove na natin yung, na-discuss na natin yung property ng limit sa nakaraang lesson. So this is limit of f of x as x approaches C plus limit of g of x as x approaches C. And this is, since yung limit ng f of x ay f of C, so this is f of C plus g of C. And then, by composition of by operation ng function, yung addition, so this is f plus g of C. So as you can see, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches C is f plus g of C. So this is that. Next, let's define continuous on a set. So let A be a subset of R, F a function from A to R. F is continuous on a set A if F is continuous at each element of A. So continuous daw siya sa given set A kapag continuous siya sa lahat ng values na nasa loob ng A. Okay? So example, number 1, show that f of x equals x is continuous on R. Okay. So for discussion, so meron ulit tayong two parts. So given x element of R and positive epsilon, So, kailangan makapagpalabas tayo ng positive delta such that if, let's say, a y is element of R, okay, kasi kailangan dito, bawat element na ng given set mapakita natin na continuous yung function sa lahat ng element ng S, ng X, or ng set, okay? If y is element of R and yung distance ng X and Y is less than delta, then distance of f of x minus f of y, where x, y parehong element ng R, is less than epsilon. So, dito tayo mag-start. Ito yung gamitin natin para mahanap natin kung ano yung delta. Okay. So, this implies yung f of x natin ay x, di ba? So, this is x. And yung f of y natin, that is y. So, this is y. Element of epsilon. So, that means kung absolute value of x minus y less than delta, so i-take natin na yung delta ay yung epsilon. So let or take delta to be equal to epsilon. So let's have a proof now. Nakakita na tayo ng delta. So let epsilon greater than 0, choose delta equals sa epsilon, so that for all x, y element of R, absolute value of x minus y less than delta implies itong x ay equal sa f of x. So this is parang reverse siya, no? X equals sa f of x, so this is f of x minus y is magiging f of y, no? F of y less than delta, but our delta is epsilon, so this implies f of x minus f of y less than epsilon. So as you can see, given this assumption, na prove natin na yung distance ng f of x and f of y is less than epsilon for all x and y. So therefore, napakita natin na continuous siya on any value under R, okay, or nasa loob ng R. So therefore f is continuous on R. Okay, so let's have another example. Show that f of x equals 1 over x is continuous on the open interval 0, infinity. Okay, so two parts ulit tayo. So discussion. So given x element of the open interval 0, infinity and positive epsilon, so gusto nating magpalabas ng delta. So hahanapin natin yung positive delta such that if y again element ng open interval, kasi ang gusto nating ma-prove continuous yung function on open interval with absolute value of x and y, x minus y, or distance between x and y is less than delta, then absolute value of f of x minus f of y is less than epsilon. So eto, dito tayo ulit mag-start para mahanap natin yung delta. So absolute value of f of x, f of minus f of y, pag gagamitin na natin yung function, magiging ano siya, 1 over x minus 1 over y less than delta, less than epsilon. And then, gawin natin iisang fraction siya. So, magiging ano siya, y minus x, no? Y minus x over xy. Okay? Less than epsilon. And then, since yung xy natin ay nasa loob ng open interval 0 infinity, so hindi na natin kailangan isama sa absolute value yung xy. So this will be absolute value of y minus x over xy less than epsilon. Kasi pareho naman positive yung xy. Nasa loob pareho nitong open interval 0 infinity. And then, multiply natin both sides by xy. So, since parehong positive yan, hindi mababago tong less than. Pero ito, naka-absolute value pa rin kasi hindi natin alam kung ano yung mas malaki. Kung yung y o x. So, less than epsilon times xy. Okay? Now, let's say yung delta, kasi yung delta natin arbitrary number yan eh. Okay? So, now, let's say yung delta natin, ilet natin yung delta to be less than, kasi hindi natin mahanap eh. Ang hirap hanapin dito yung value na yung delta. So, ilet na lang natin na yung delta, let's say, less than siya sa half ng x. So, any number siya. Basta mas maliit dyan sa half ng x. Okay? Since arbitrary naman yan. Then, kung mas malaki yung x over 2 sa delta, yung delta is any numbers smaller than x over 2. So that means, since mas malaki yung delta sa distance ng x and y, so yung distance ng x and y, mas maliit sa x over 2. Okay? Kasi yung x over 2, mas malaki dito. And, this implies y minus x less than x over 2 by property of absolute value. Absolute value of x minus y, same lang yan, or equal lang yan sa absolute value of y minus x. Okay? And then, property ulit ng absolute value. So, this is negative x over 2 less than y minus x less than x over 2. So, ito para matanggal yung absolute value. Tapos, mag-add tayo ng x sa bawat sides. So, negative x over 2 plus x. Magiging x over 2 na lang yan. Ito, mawawala yung x. Ito, magiging 3x over 2. So, that means yung y is between x over 2, 3x over 2. So, yung absolute value ng y minus x is less than epsilon, eto yun dito galing, epsilon times x times 3x over 2. So, yan yung iti-take natin. Yung absolute value of y minus x, di ba, equals sa absolute value of x minus y. And that is less than delta. Okay? So, eto, i-take natin yung delta. Okay? To be, so take delta to be infimum, kung ano man yung mas mababa sa x over 2. Kasi dito, pinakita natin yung delta less than x over 2. Okay? And 3 over 2 epsilon x squared. Okay. So, dapat pala ang nilet natin, yung delta na to ay less than or equal sa para ma-take natin na ito ay infimum nito. Okay, so same pa rin naman. Kung ito ay less than delta, delta less than or equal to x over 2. So, that means, yan, yung x over 2 pa rin yung mas mataas. So, walang problema. Nilagyan ko lang ng less than or equal para ma-take natin kung sakaling mas mababa man yung x over 2. Okay? So, titake natin yung infimum. Pwede siya maging value ng delta. Okay? So, yan ay part pa lang ng discussion. So, nakahanap pa lang tayo ng delta. So, doon na tayo sa mismong proof. So, let's have a proof. Let x be element of the open interval 0, infinity and epsilon be greater than 0. So, choose now delta to be the infimum of x over 2 and then 3 over 2 epsilon x squared. Then, for y element of 0, infinity, such that absolute value of x minus y less than delta, we can see that the absolute value, or we can see that y is less than 3x over 2. Tama? Mula dito sa discussion. So, y is less than 3x over 2. And the absolute value of f of x minus f of y is equal to 1 over x minus 1 over y. And this is equal to absolute value of x minus y over xy. So, galing lang yan dito sa kaninang ginawa natin. And instead of y minus x, ginawa ko na lang x minus y. So, same lang naman yon. And then, this is also equal to 1 over x times 1 over y times absolute value of x minus y. And take note, yung yung y natin greater than x over 2. Okay? Or yung x over 2 is less than y. So, kung i-reciprocal natin, yung 2 over x greater than 1 over y. Tama? Kung naka-reciprocal. So, note lang to, hindi to kasama. So, eto, this will be less than, kapag papalitan mo yung 1 over y ng 2 over x, mas lalaki to. No? So, magiging na siya? 2 over x squared. Kasi 1 over x tapos 2 over x. So, 2 over x squared. Okay? Times absolute value of x minus y. But yung absolute value of x minus y less than delta. Okay? And let's say, palitan natin yung delta na to. So, this is 2 over x squared times 3 epsilon x squared over 2. Okay, ito yon. And this is equal to, cancel yung x squared, cancel yung 2, 3 epsilon. So, okay lang yan. Yung epsilon natin arbitrary. Kahit may minultiply tayo na constant 3, that is still an arbitrary number. Okay? Which is, hindi kailangan na pure epsilon yan. So, as you can see, napalabas natin na this is less than 3 epsilon. So, therefore, yung function na to is continuous. So, therefore, f is continuous on 0, infinity. So, this is done. Okay, so now, since na-define na natin yung continuity on a set, so i-extend natin yung theorem kanina sa continuity at a certain point. So let A be a subset of R, F, and G, be continuous on set A, and be element of R. Then F plus G, F minus G, F, G, and BG are continuous on A, and if h, a function from A to R, is continuous on A, and h of x is not equal to 0 for any value of x element of A, then the quotient f over h is continuous on A. Okay, so let's have now the composition of continuous function. So let A be a subset of R, B a subset of R, F a function from A to R, G a function from B to R. So yung kay FA, yung kay GB. And suppose yung f of A, take note f of A is a subset of B. So sa composition talaga yan. If f is continuous at C, element of A, and G is continuous at f of C, so syempre sa f of C siya kasi yung f of A is subset of B. Okay? Element of B. Then the composition function or G circle F is continuous at C. Okay? So, ipaprove natin yung composition na to, pero ipapakita ko muna yung idea kung paano natin siya ipoprove. So, halimbawa, ito yung real number A. Tapos, ang element niya ay, let's say, C. Diba? Tapos, yung, let's say, meron tayong real number B. Yung element naman niya, f of C. And then, we have a real number here na ang nasa loob ay G f of f of C. Okay? So now, ang idea dito para ma-prove natin na yung composition ay continuous, dapat kung meron tayong interval of epsilon, so let's say we have interval of epsilon dito kay G, dapat makapagpalabas, let's say ito na lang yung C sa loob nito. So dapat makapagpalabas tayo ng interval of delta sa loob ni A, around A. So dito, let's say interval of delta, na lahat ng values na nasa loob ng interval na to ay mapupunta sa loob ng sa loob nitong interval of epsilon. Okay? Ng composition. So, yun yung pinaka-idea kung paano natin siya ipoprove. So, ang gagawin natin para ma-prove yun, since, by the way, this is a function f from A, tapos ang outcome ay yung nasa domain na ng B, and this is a function G, outcome ay naka C na. And take note that f and G are continuous functions. So since yung G natin ay continuous, ibig sabihin nun, kapag meron tayong interval of delta din kay B, so lahat ng values na to magre-result sa output na nasa loob ng epsilon kay C. Okay? And then, since f is continuous, then lahat ng values ng delta na to sa loob ng delta around C ay maglalabas ng output na nasa loob ng interval around f of C. Okay? And kapag napakita natin na ganon, since ganon yung condition, so doon natin mako-conclude na lahat ng values around C sa loob ng delta, okay, ay magre-result o maglalabas ng output na nasa loob ng G of C. So, yun yung gagawin natin na proof. Okay? So, for our proof, ilalagay ko lang sa formal definition yung sinabi ko kanina. So, let epsilon be greater than 0. So, dun muna tayo sa G, yung sinabi ko. Yung G, kung continuous yung G, so that means lahat ng values sa loob ng delta around f of C maglalabas ng output na nasa loob ng G epsilon around g of f of c. Okay. So, since g is continuous at f of c, then may mag-e-exist na delta, let's say delta g, para under g yun, greater than 0, such that if x is element of b, so that means ito yung tinutukoy ko na any values of x na nasa loob ng b, any values dito na nasa loob ng delta under b, with yung x na yan ito yung x minus f of c. So ito yung mga nasa loob. Okay? Ito yung f of c. Mga neighborhood ng f of c. Less than delta g. Then, ang output nila ay nasa loob ng epsilon around g of f of c. Or the distance between g of x and g of f of c is less than epsilon. Okay? Next, doon naman sa f, so ganun din, since continuous yung f, then lahat ng value sa loob ng delta na kay a around c ay magre-result ng output na nasa loob ng epsilon around f of c. Okay? So, i-formal natin yung statement. Since f is continuous at c, may mag-exist naman na delta, let's say delta sub f, such that if y naman kasi x ginamit natin nung una. So, if y element of a with the distance between y and c less than delta f, or ito yung tinutukoy ko na nasa loob ng delta. Okay? Then, ang output na resulta niyan nasa loob ng delta g, or yun yung parang nagsisilbing epsilon around f of c. So, then, the distance between f of y minus f of c is less than delta g. So, yan. Nasa loob ng delta g around f of c. And that means, since ganun yung case, so ibig sabihin, lahat ng nasa loob nito, magre-result sa output na nasa loob ng epsilon around g of f of c. Okay, so thus, for y element of a with the distance between y minus c, y and c less than delta or nasa loob ng delta f, we will see that the distance between g of f of y, okay, minus minus g of f of c is less than epsilon. Okay, so ang hirap niyang iyan sa mathematical statement, Okay, and this is done. Okay, so na-prove na natin na continuous siya at c.